we have Mr. Gautam Kho, technology mentor at Bricket Reap, to conduct the session on innovation in the real estate sector globally. Mr. Khoth has over 25 years of experience in technology leadership and holds multiple patents in the field of video conferencing and video infrastructure. Mr. Khoth, the stage is yours.
Welcome to this exciting panel in One World, One Reality. Our guests today are going to address a very interesting topic, which is innovation in the real estate sector globally. Let me introduce you to the two participants today from BCG. Neetu Vasanta is a partner in BCG's New Delhi office. She's a core member of BCG's industrial goods practice area. She's worked across topics in the field of go-to-market, organizational restructuring, supply chain excellence, and operational turnaround. And she drives the real estate topic for BCG in India. Joining her today from BCG as well is Gaurav Jindal, who is a core member of the industrial goods practice area team and digital BCG. He has deep experience in building materials and industrial goods across emerging markets with a strong focus on digitization across manufacturing and operations, sales and marketing, and supply chain management. Gaurav has extensive experience working with real estate developers, financiers, as well as state authorities, which is truly awesome. We're going to get perspective from three different areas that he's been exposed to. The real estate sector, which is a traditional laggard in terms of adoption of technology, is seeing a rapid transformation in that very area. And Neetu and Gaurav are intimately familiar with how this landscape is unfurling. With that, the stage is yours. Neetu and Gaurav, take it away, please.
Thank you, Gautam, and thank you so much for the kind words. I think we are in a completely unprecedented era. I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. Just when in January and February we thought we were over the COVID wave and things would get back to normal, I had already started planning my summer holiday. I think the world has taught us that this is truly a agile moment, and every day is a new story. Taking more positive thoughts ahead, I think what the last 1 year has also taught us is we can and we do have the ability to fundamentally rethink all the assumptions that we had in across businesses. Real estate, as you correctly said, was one of the laggards in terms of innovation. Over the last 10 years or so, I think if I think about the kind of innovations that have happened in the space, that has primarily been on digital interventions in the premises. So some sensor-based technology in offices, some analytics in the mall space, some facilities in the residential space. But apart from these incremental changes, fundamentally the real estate sector was pretty much would function the same way. I think the last 1 year has challenged many of those beliefs, and I just it would take me all day if I talk about the kind of trends we're seeing all across the world. But what Gaurav and I wanted to do was across the three core pillars of real estate, starting with residential, then the commercial space, which is split into offices as well as malls. We wanted to talk about a few key trends that seem very exciting to us, and some of these are playing out in India, some of these will play out in India, but across the world we're seeing a lot of developers, state agents, facilities management players, financiers leveraging these trends to strengthen their bottom line. So with that backdrop, let me just set the stage. What we are seeing in residential, again, apart from a lot of movement back home, work from home, especially in the premium segment, we're seeing a lot of focus on sustainability and innovation in design. And Gaurav will talk at length about it. I think the other topic that we wanted to touch upon was, real estate sales used to be a holy cow, right? I mean, people would say, nobody's going to buy a house online. It's just one thing. When you go there, you feel the vibe and everything. China, India, US changed that for us last year, and we wanted to shed some light on how the entire sales cycle in the residential space is also seeing a lot of innovation. I think the only other topic which I want to, touch upon in the residential space is how is, the declining cost of technology, the urgency in project management, how is it playing out in the construction interventions in the residential space? So, Gaurav will talk at length about these three, and then we'll shift gears to the office space. There has been a lot of chatter and a lot of published research on how the need for office space is going to, come down. Not entirely wrong, but we are going to challenge and throw some data on, challenging that notion. There are two counter forces at play there. Whereas there is a need for a hybrid or a more work from home environment, there is also an opposing force on de-densification. And we'll just talk about how that trend is playing out and what are office space developers doing to make sure that that trend is getting addressed. Apart from that, a lot of innovation in the concept of smart buildings. Facility management is on the rise. Again, even in office, having a lower carbon footprint is equally important. There is a lot of consciousness and a concerted effort on how do we make our offices more green, how do we make how do we think about more sustainable construction material, how do we think about, hyper efficient cooling and many other technological shifts, right? We then switch gears to retail, where we were going to talk about how data and analytics is creating a more curated experience for customers and how the traditional models of a shopping mall are being challenged, and what are malls doing to constantly reinvent themselves and still be relevant in a day and age when people are buying homes online. Why will anyone ever get to a mall, and how do you create that need and still keep it alive? So with that as a backdrop, I just request Gaurav to come in and start talking about the residential space and the key changes there.
Thank you so much, Neetu. So starting on the residential side, as Neetu highlighted, design and layout has become a really big determinant in terms of what customers need. And I think there are three main aspects there. First, in terms of home size, I think with all of us working from home, and that not being a short-term trend, but something which is likely to stay, it becomes important for us to realize that both in terms of how much space is there at home, what is the effect that has in terms of building design and layout, and the overall space which is provided, how best we can utilize it more efficiently. So in our surveys, etc., we see that more than 80% of millennials actually expect that they will work from home for more than 1 to 2 days per week. And currently 30% or more of space in buildings is wasted. So how do we really create the right kind of co-working spaces in multiple family buildings, in multi-family homes, and create that additional room which can serve both as a home office, but also as a dorm if needed. And similarly, how can we really use our furniture for diverse uses in the same space becomes important, so that the same sized house appears and can function in multiple uses, which wasn't the case earlier. The second very important trend on that side, which we are seeing, is the green indoor-outdoor, which is where the key question is that most of the buildings that we live in are actually not designed for long-term stays within the house. So how do we really create that kind of experience which people get in their offices or while working in a more better space, is in terms of access, the external spaces, the kind of green space that is needed from balconies, etc., becomes important. So really thinking about that as a design becomes relevant. And then finally, sustainability is a key factor in terms of how do we really differentiate our products. So a sustainable building has multiple advantages, not just for the tenants, but also for the ones who form it. And we have seen investors really focus on that going forward. And hence, how do we really ensure that real estate, which consumes 40% of planet's total resources in terms of people's houses to live in, offices to go in, how can we as a sector become more sustainable and efficient? And if we think about the different kind of projects which are there, a few very good examples are there globally. But one which I will want to draw your eyes on is in the Emirate of Sharjah, where a UAE community master plan has been designed for Al Zaya community. This is a 90-hectare spread property but has been created in a way where the master plan has sustainability at its core, and the experience and the overall way in which people live and the walkability and convenience is something which is prioritized. So some of the factors which we are currently perhaps not even thinking about in terms of noise impact, in terms of energy efficiency, ensuring that the overall ecological value stays relevant, because the place where it was set up was an ex-army ground. So how do we really ensure that all those things are balanced out? And that is where they actually went ahead and got a BREAM certification, which currently is not there for many Indian properties, to ensure that this entire thing is designed for a contemporary community lifestyle, really taking into account some of the factors around livability and sustainability for us. And then one more important point to call out is in terms of how do we really go to market. I think the traditional way, as Neetu highlighted, in terms of how do we really find who are the people who are likely to stay in our houses from before, from really focusing on creating the right funnel, getting to reach out to as many people. I think what data has done, data and analytics has done, has enabled us to really reach out to our customer segments who are going to be most relevant for us, and identify and be very precise in terms of how we target. So for example, when we're thinking about a premier property, really mapping out the malls, the hotels, the hospitals, the knowledge parks, the IT parks, all the other similar properties or areas where people from those kind of professions will come and work becomes important. So firstly, identifying who do we want to target. Secondly, leveraging data and user data to really understand where they are, where they're spending time. And now with startups like Zeotrap, we have actually reached a stage where we can really identify which part of a mall someone is visiting. So even not just that a person is coming to a mall, but also understand which of the flagship stores are they going to. And then finally enriching that data and creating a kind of customer profile, which gives the customer a complete 360-degree view of what the customer needs, where do they go, what they actually value, so that our own sales force can be far more targeted, can be far more efficient in terms of what is that is important for that specific customer, and really ensure that our conversions from people who walk in or who are interested to actually people who translate into sales becomes higher. So with that, Neetu, if I can request you to come in on the office side.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I think very exciting trends and clearly a lot of disruption on its way. If I shift gears, we spoke about residential and how people are looking at more from their homes and also changing the way they buy homes. If I come to the office space, first of all, I would just like to start with the elephant in the room, right? Last 1 year, we have spoken about, how much can we work from home? So, can we collaborate remotely? Absolutely, yes. More than 70% of the people are now, and we ran this, as BCG, we ran this big survey of more than 13,000 people around US, Germany, and India. And we asked them one simple question. We said, is it possible for you to collaborate remotely? And the answer to that was a resounding yes. For most of the individual tasks, for most of the managerial tasks, other than the collaborative tasks, everybody believes we can collaborate remotely. However, they do need the office for connect, right? A lot of people said that, we need our formal, informal social interactions. We need, in-person brainstorming. We need in-person formal meetings. We need a better work setup. And that's why we need home. I think what people are still demanding is a flexibility, whether it is in terms of, where can I work from, or it is in terms of when can I work from. And with COVID going up and down, the need for flexibility is going to go higher. However, the requirement for an office space is real. So office spaces are not going anywhere. Just to put things in perspective, most of the global players today, and we have a lot of offshore jobs in India, are spending less than 1% of their total operational cost on renting out the office space. So it's not something that everyone wants to optimize, at one go. They all want to keep the office space because when it comes to social interactions and when it comes to, employees feeling the connect, they still need their office. So having spoken about the need for office spaces, it's here and it's going to stay. I think, however, one very important factor is changing. And what do I mean by that? There is a theme called, more open and more de-densified office space, which is very, very real. So I personally drive our thinking with a lot of developers, and a lot of their tenants, both large and small, are asking for, open collaborative spaces. They're asking for de-densified spaces. They're asking for safe pathways. There's a lot of ask from the developers saying, how do you plan it out such that people, want to come to a workstation? And also, if this need is required, they are secluded enough to do their, to continue about their work. So people are, people are downsizing their offices. So they're expecting 80% of their workforce to show up. But for that same 80%, they need a larger space. So net, the demand is, more or less flat, even though the workforce actually showing up for offices a little bit, less. And, I just want to touch upon what elements of space design and location are people talking about. Let me talk about what have been the unique asks, right? One, people are talking about a neighborhood work zone. So, cordoning of workstations and phone rooms. People are talking about focus zones, which are basically quiet areas for heads down, working time. People are asking for collaboration zones, for meetings, for group works. People are asking about work cafes. People are asking about wellness zones. And all of these are, to facilitate collaboration and yet to facilitate seclusion. So that's the first thing that offices are seeing. I think the second thing that I definitely want to emphasize upon is, bringing of technology into the workspace. So there are many angles to digital disruption and a flexible office that are being visible. And I'm not just talking about India, but this is much more prevalent in the Western world. People are looking at how digital can enhance employee experience. So, what are the platforms that we can use to leverage real-time data to improve the workplace environment and connectivity? If you are a person who needs a warmer space, when you check remotely into your desk, how can we make sure that the temperature is ambient for you to be there, right? All of this is being controlled through app devices. All of this is being controlled through just, predictive analytics. We are also talking about how can we be more energy efficient. In fact, this was one of the first use cases that started coming into many buildings, right? Automatic sensors, data collection for energy efficient operations. What is the time people come in? What is the time people come out? What light needs to be on? What lights needs to be off? How do we do more accurate space utilization? So, how do you shut down certain areas of the office if there are fewer people coming in? How do we set up a, predictive maintenance? How do we do many things to make sure that, our facilities are not just smart, but also smart to conserve the resources and provide a better experience to the employees. I'm going to just take a very simple example of a building called the Edge in Amsterdam. They were one of the pioneers of, building out smart technologies. And as a result of which, they ended up saving 70% of their energy costs as compared to how they used to operate before. And what did they do? Very simple tricks, right? They used smart lighting and sensors. They used IoT-based servicing. So, connected coffee machines, bathroom towel rails, everything was connected. They leveraged, smart robotics to eliminate the need of more people. They also enhance employee experience by creating personalized workspaces. So, customization of temperature that I spoke about, light levels, everything customized to every person's needs and wants and likes. Real-time dashboards, of energy consumption, making people more aware, more alive. Integrated building management services. So, remote operations of the HVAC, controlling, monitoring, everything. And as a result of all of these changes, they were able to cut down emissions and, their energy requirements by 70%. I think it's a great example. So, at least if I look at the office space, there is this whole innovation and newness on design and layout thinking about more creative and more happy working spaces. And also there is an equal emphasis on making the building smarter and more energy efficient, just reducing the overall carbon footprint. So that was it on the offices side. I think let me just get started on what we are seeing on the malls as well, right? So malls, again, I started my conversation by just saying that malls, if you think about it logically, you're saying that, everything's happening online. There's a large shift online. Why are the malls even relevant? Again, if I take away the single use case that first comes to our mind, which is malls as a physical shopping location, I think malls can go way beyond that, and they are trying to do that. It's again a physical experience that is very difficult to, you go to a mall with your friends, you have a cup of coffee, you watch a movie, you just stroll around, there's a lot of window shopping. Sometimes the experiences are curated for you. That feeling of happiness when you just enter a mall is very difficult to replace by a website. People have tried it, and a lot of buying has come online, but still the experience associated with shopping, I think malls are much required, and they will likely be there. But at the same time, because people are being more cautious, and because a lot of the buying habits have shifted online, the malls are seeing reduced footfalls. So what can the mall and what are the mall developers doing around the world to make sure that they are getting their revenue back up? So let me touch upon the first one, which is, how are they leveraging analytics to make sure that the customer or the consumer experience is more enhanced. And, I have many stories from around the world, but I'm also going to pick one of my favorite developers, DLF, who've actually now also taken upon analytics in a big way and are doing that. So if you think about it, one of the common things that mall developers do is track your Wi-Fi to make sure that they run the analytics on who you are. So if I enter a mall, and if I connect to the mall Wi-Fi, a lot of apps are transacting with the Wi-Fi, and there's a lot of smart analytics that is being run to curate the offers for me. Let me start by just talking about what a Starbucks would do. So the minute I enter a mall, a Starbucks has my transaction history with my telephone number, with knowing the kind of customer that I am, and by running their very smart, segment of one analytics to say that I'm somebody who always likes to have a flat white and maybe a cookie whenever the timing is between, let's say, 3 to 5 p.m. So the minute I enter a mall and, my Wi-Fi pings the mall Wi-Fi, I'm going to likely get a, customized offer from Starbucks saying, here's a 20% off running on Starbucks coffee today. Come here before 5 p.m. and grab your cup of coffee. And that not only, reminds me that I need to take a break and, get my favorite cup of coffee, but, also enhances the probability of them getting my revenue. So it's a complete win-win situation. Within the realms of data privacy, a lot of malls are running analytics to make sure that they're doing the customer profiling right. They have a very personalized approach to marketing, as opposed to me getting bombarded with 100 messages which I will not run. And they also have a targeted advertising. It helps me. It helps the person trying to sell to me. At the same time, so this is what they do on a personalized level. At the same time, they also take stock of what is going on in the mall. So, the analytics actually helps big shopkeepers to also optimize their personal footprint. Where is the traffic right now? In which part of the mall? And how do you quickly send your sales representatives to go to that mall to help out and piece it out? How do you do your sales force optimization? How do you optimize your layouts? Looking at both real-time data as well as weeks data. So a lot is being done on the analytics. People are also looking at creating omni-channel journeys for their customers. So what the companies are doing, they are studying offline data. So if I am a Zara customer who shops online as well as offline, Today Zara is not doing it, but maybe they should. The minute they study my offline profile, and if I come in and they just simply ask me to log in with my membership number, they can, very easily send me curated offers which are very customized to my taste. That again, reduces my time involvement in the mall, but maximizes my chance of revenue expense on them. So how do brands are looking at it, and a lot of brands are coming to it, but how do you seamlessly integrate the offline and the online? I'm just going to pass it all over to Gaurav, and
Sure. Thanks so much, Neetu. So I think Neetu touched upon a very important point in terms of what is the mall experience and how data can really change or influence that or make it better for us as consumers. I think the other important part to think about is, can we really make malls an essential feature so that we collaborate with the entire online shopping trend as well? So while the entire offline shopping trend isn't going away and will continue to stay an important part, the online part is going to grow. And how can that collaboration happen? I think one good example is BR Malls, which is a Brazilian based mall with around 30 plus malls, which are right now being operated as fulfillment centers with delivery center. They have invested in this startup, which acts as a demand generator from virtual stores and food delivery apps. The overall process is fairly similar to how we are all used to buying stuff online. So the customer places the order. It's the retail store in the mall from which the DC team accepts the order or collects it. And then there's a technical staff, which is hubbed out of the mall, and which hence provides to the delivery center unit, where the staff can check, ensure that it is provided to the delivery partner, and then the delivery partner can go. The place where it really becomes much better than any other online experience we have is that they ensure and provide orders within an hour. And that is where the great location of the malls, which and the kind of prime real estate that we right now have, becomes very important, because there is one part which is in terms of convenience, which online experience is really able to meet. But what about the experience of buying on the moment I want it, I can get it? That is something which this can replicate and really bring forward for us. The other important way in which one of the other big mega trend mall operators are kind of using is in the terms of co-working space. So there are different malls which are right now partnering with some of these co-working players, like for example, Industrious, who manages private offices. And then there are these partnerships to ensure that the same space can be reutilized for co-working as well. Again, this is a trend which isn't so much in vogue right away because of the social distancing norms, etc. But as things get better and co-working as a trend continues to stay, the prime location of malls and the times during which malls are not as actively used, during the day times when potentially there is more time or more vacancy, are there ways for us to really leverage the same infrastructure and create another revenue stream becomes important. And then finally, an example closer to home from Rebel Foods, from Fasos, Behrus, etc. This is one of the leading dark kitchen players with like 700, 800 crores of annual revenue with multiple brands, and really ensuring that using and setting those localized cloud kitchens, ensuring that that innovation in terms of taste, etc., and then the entire procurement and supply chain is scaled, becomes a big way for them to really win in the market. But what really differentiates them beyond the presence in malls is actually the tech platform which they have set, which ensures that all the brands, the performance analytics, the supply chain automation part of it can be there. And anyone can come and plug and play into their ecosystem to launch something, with acting as the mall, acting as the basic platform layer on which all of this is enabled. So all of these three different examples, the BR malls, the co-working, or the Rebel Foods acting as a dark kitchen and running out of malls as a platform, are opportunities for us in mall space to really create additional revenue streams, or think about being part of more important macro themes which are driving the industry going forward. With that, Neetu, if I can request you to talk on the key trends.
I think yes, thank you, Gaurav. And Gautam, before I hand it over to you, I think if I were to summarize the presentation in literally 30 seconds, I would just take away 5 big themes, right? And 5 keywords, not even themes. Digital and analytics, health and well-being, sustainability, green buildings, reinvented business models, and activity-based workspaces. Those are the 5 that I would remember, and we, just wrap up the presentation with that. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I just had, I want to kind of be cognizant of the time as well. I had a question around sustainability. I mean, you're seeing more and more of that in terms of adoption, but what are the concrete ways? Like, for instance, at some point, the workforce is going to return back to the office.
Yeah.
Are you seeing technology enabling that return, number one? I know you touched upon the redesign of office spaces, etc.
Yes.
But is this redesign taking into account problems that we've not really, paid attention to in the past in terms of indoor air quality, for instance, or the energy consumption that a building typically has in terms of their HVAC spends, or
yes,
what have you, right? So, what are your insights on that?
So let me just get started, and Gaurav, please feel free to add. I think, Gautam, you started off well, right? There is going to be a return to work, but people are being more conscious from their own health as well as the health of the planet. Investors are giving cheaper money to developers who are focusing on green and sustainability. Tenants are willing to pay more money to developers who are focusing on green and sustainability. When you get the money going in a direction, things are going to align eventually. So that's really from the output level. From an input level, a lot of interactions that we are having today, open desking is coming back. We went from broader to deeper work environments. We moved to cubicles, we moved to personalized spaces, and now people are talking about open spaces all over again, just to be more efficient in terms of space requirement, and also acknowledging that our overall energy conservation, energy efficiency goes up with that. So that's a move that is here to stay. HVAC, you spoke about air quality, air filtration. There is a huge emphasis. I mean, in the US, people are even talking about delinking one stream of air in one office from another, and here we were pooling in all offices and creating one big HVAC system. So definitely there is a premium being paid for these services, which is good for the planet. May not be necessarily for the good individual who's paying that premium, but people are acknowledging this, realizing this, and spending money on it. Gaurav, if you have any quick answers to that.
No, I think Neetu makes all the right points. I'll just say in my mind, there are 3 main things which are important for real estate industry. As Neetu said, one is obviously improving energy efficiency. So how do we really use renewable? How do we minimize heat losses? How do we upgrade efficiency? I think the second important part is really scaling up circularity throughout the value chain. So how can we reduce waste during design, construction, and operation? Use more recycled materials, material passports, etc. And then finally, overall building renovation, how we can strengthen that. So, how do we upgrade assets which are depleted, repurpose, distressed assets, etc. becomes an important way to really address the sustainability part. But at the end of it, I will completely align with what Neetu is saying, because it's where the money moves and what the customer asks for becomes important. And Gautam, to your point, when you and I as a customer ask for inside house air quality as an important factor, obviously the industry will also move towards that, because that then becomes a differentiator for people to make a call on where they want to stay or where they want to invest.
Perfect. I'm coming away really richer the last half hour that we spent together. I'm sure there'll be questions that a lot of our audiences might have, and we will definitely be passing them on to you, such that if there is anything that they need specific help on, I'm pretty sure that people you'll probably want to share your insights with the broader world out there. Thank you so much for your time, Neetu and Gaurav.
Always a pleasure, Gautam. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.